Hello there you guys, welcome to one of my videos. According to Spanish newspaper ABC, Real Madrid have set a 59 million asking price for Rafael Varane. And Spanish transfer expert Eduardo Inda says Rafael Varane could be on his way to Manchester United in the summer. Rafael Varane's contract talks with Real Madrid have stalled. There was narratives coming out earlier on this season saying that Real Madrid are prepared to sell Rafael Varane on one condition: he must inform Real Madrid on his decision to leave. His current contract expires in 2022. Back in 2018, Woodward was prepared to sanction a £100 million move. I'd certainly take him at Manchester United. He's a world-class centre-half. He'd go very well alongside Harry Maguire in our back line. He's highly experienced. He is the age of 27. He hasn't played in the Premier League as yet, but I can assure if he comes to the Premier League, he will exceed expectations. He's been at Real Madrid since 2011. So he's been there now around a decade. He's made over 300 appearances and he's won 18 major honours. Real Madrid paid just €10 million for him from Lens. But Mundo Deportivo said quite a few weeks ago that Rafael Varane's future was in doubt. So it looks very likely he's going to be leaving. Now, I want to delve into some news on Erling Halland. So, Erling Haaland's agent, Mini Oriola, and his father, Alfinch Haaland, are set to jet into England today for talks with Man United and 3 other Premier League clubs. Erling Haaland and Mini Oriola have already held talks with Barcelona, and I think they've also held talks with Real Madrid. Borussia Dortmund have revealed their asking price. It's 130 million. Now, there's so many clubs in for Haaland, and it's very likely he'll leave Dortmund in the summer transfer window, especially if Borussia Dortmund fail to qualify for the Champions League. His father has spoken about his son's transfer links to Man United before, and he's spoken about his son's career and prospects. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer reveals that Erling Haaland struggled with bad knees at Molde, but Solskjaer also revealed how impressed he was with Haaland in training when he was at Molde. It's said the other week that Solskjaer kept calling Erling Haaland to persuade him to join Manchester United. Earlier on this season, he says Ole was following Erling Haaland's progress and he's keeping in touch with him. Obviously, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer worked with Haaland at Molde, gave him his debut at just the age of 16. Back in December 2019, Solskjaer and Woodward went to Norway to meet up with Erling Haaland to negotiate a possible move to Man United. Erling Haaland does have a £68 million release clause, but it doesn't become active until next year. Since his arrival at Dortmund, he has been a revelation. He's been there now over a year. He's got a contract with Dortmund until 2024. And Dortmund paid just £17 million for him. He's still young. He's got a lot of development in him. But the reasons I'd take him at Man United is because, one, he knows Ole Gunnar Solskjaer well. And two, he would assure us goals. His agent Mini Oriola said earlier on this season that there's around 6 clubs in England that can afford him. Now, I want to delve into some news on Edinson Cavani. Cavani's decision has been made. According to Football Insider, Edinson Cavani is willing to take a pay cut to join Boca Juniors. Football Insider said earlier on this season that Cavani had reached a verbal agreement to join Boca Juniors at the end of the season. Now, recently, Man United held showdown talks with Cavani over his future at the club, and we want to convince him to stay for next season. Edinson Cavani's current contract expires at the end of the season. We do have an option to trigger his contract for a further year. The Uruguay coach has urged Edinson Cavani to leave. Cavani sustained a few injuries at Man United, but I think he has made a fantastic impact since he's come in. His hold-up play has been good. His movement in and out of the box has been very good. He creates chances and he scores goals. We got Cavani on a free transfer last summer, didn't we? He signed a 1-year contract with Man United with an option of a second year. Solskjaer did say earlier on this season that Cavani was closer to Boca Juniors than staying at Man United. His father came out earlier on this season and said that Edinson Cavani is unhappy at the club. He wants to leave and he's not comfortable in England. And reports from Argentina said, didn't they, that Cavani has decided to leave Man United after 1 season. So there you go. Like I've said, this year's summer transfer window is huge for Manchester United and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. We're going to focus on the incomings and the outgoings. I reckon Ole needs at least £200 million in the summer transfer window if he's to get the players he wants to recommend in. I've already identified the weaknesses in the squad. Now, it said earlier on this season that our transfer budget had been revealed. It was £80 million. A lot of United fans were shocked in that aspect because we know £80 million is nowhere near enough for us to get the players we want to recommend in. But obviously we're going to sell players in the summer transfer window, so in that aspect it will generate money and it'll help us with our rebuilding process. I'm expecting Solskjaer to get good backing in the summer transfer window because obviously we've got John Murtough. He's our director of football. And it was the right decision by the club to get a director of football in because I said that's one of the structural changes that we needed, and John Murtough knows the club through thick and thin because he's been at Man United since 2014. And Darren Fletcher, he's our technical director and he endured 2 decades as a player for Man United, so he knows the club through thick and thin. And obviously Woodward has come out and said that he believes Solskjaer is the right man to lead the club forward. He released a statement earlier on this season saying that the progress by Solskjaer and the players this season is clear, so in that aspect Woodward is backing Solskjaer. And in general, Woodward's come out several times to show his support for Ole even when we was enjoying them really bad periods under him. Solskjaer's already had discussions with our recruitment team over our transfer targets and our transfer plans for the summer in general. And I'm kind of sure Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will be Manchester United manager in the summer transfer window. And he'll be Man United manager next season. I did say, didn't I, he deserves another season. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will not be sat at Manchester United even if we fail to win the Europa League this season. The Europa League is our only chance of winning any silverware this season. And Solskjaer needs to win a trophy at Manchester United because he's not yet won a trophy, and plus if we win a trophy that will mark progress. We haven't won a trophy since 2017. Solskjaer did say though not so long ago that winning trophies can be an ego thing. He said that in regards to some other managers and some other clubs. And he says clubs like Man United, trophies no longer prove success. But in that aspect, I've got to totally disagree with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. You know, Solskjaer has agreed to sign a new 3-year contract worth 30 million. You know, it's likely to be 2 years with an option of an extra one. Sources at Old Trafford did say quite a few weeks ago, though, that talks were set to begin any day on the new deal because Solskjaer's now into the final year of his current 3-year contract. He won't see it out. A lot of United fans disagree with us giving him a new contract. Does he deserve a new contract? In some aspects, yeah. In some aspects, no. But I can assure he's not the long-term manager for Manchester United. But I think he's the best manager since Ferguson. He's our 4th permanent manager since Ferguson. I've told you my 2 biggest concerns about Ole is his decision making, because in a lot of his games at Man United he has been tactically naive, especially in a lot of the big games this season. And my other concern about him, he doesn't have a proven pedigree as a manager, and he doesn't have that big club arrogance as a manager. And, you know, we have enjoyed very bad periods under Ole where you can turn around and say, yeah, he was lucky not to be sacked. The main explanation Solskjaer is still Manchester United manager is because he's a club legend. Disregarding being a club legend, I can almost assure now he wouldn't have been here. But we have got to credit him in quite a few aspects, you know, because we have enjoyed good periods under him where we've seen consistency, and in some of them good periods he's got the best out of the team. We're also 2nd in the Premier League, and to be honest with you, no one expected us to be there with how poor we was at the first part of this season. At one point, it got us top of the Premier League. We've got a very good away record in the Premier League, haven't lost away from home in the Premier League for over a year. You know, Ole got us to the FA Cup quarter-final, you know, got us to the Europa League quarter-final, got us to the EFL Cup semi-final this season, lost 2-0 to City. Ole did well last season in his first full season at the club, guided us to 3 semi-finals, got us qualification for the Champions League and got us 3rd. Second highest we finished, by the way, since Ferguson. And he's made some good signings as Man United manager. He's spent almost £300 million. And so far he's enjoyed 4 transfer windows as permanent Man United manager. He's got rid of a lot of players since he's come in. I also like the way that Ole has promoted the youth. So they are the positives. So there's not all negativity regarding Solskjaer, but I do think he's in a position he shouldn't be in. And Solskjaer knew when he'd taken over at Man United it was going to be a massive job, despite him knowing the club through thick and thin. But yeah, he's been here now nearly 28 months. So yeah, he's been Man United manager over 2 years, and he's learned quite a bit at Man United, and he's tried a few different elements, and he's gained some managerial experience. He's managed over 100 games as Man United manager in all competitions. But in the last 8 years, nothing has changed at Manchester United. It's just been an ongoing cycle of inconsistency, despite us sacking managers, despite us overpaying for players, despite us spending over £1 billion on players in the last 8 years. Mistakes have been made in the last 8 years, and that's why we haven't been as consistent as we'd like to have been, you know? I think the board has been one of the biggest issues at the club for a while. That's why a lot of our fans have been critical of the board. The board have been one of the biggest issues is because the recruitment's been poor. Like I said, we've overpaid for players. And in general, the managers that we've had since Ferguson retired haven't got the players that they wanted to recommend in. Hopefully that changes in the summer transfer window. But like I say, I'm expecting us to make around 3 or 4 signings in the summer transfer window. Could we even make 5 signings? There's a lot of players on our agenda. Not just Raphael Varane and Halland. Obviously, there's been a lot of narratives coming out regarding Jules Koundé from Sevilla. Now, Sevilla have revealed their asking price for Jules Koundé. It's £68 million. Now, Romano was recently talking about it. He said Sevilla's 68 million asking price is complicating a deal, but he said he's one of the most appreciated players on Man United's radar. Now, it said a couple of weeks ago that we'd been handed a boost in our bid to sign Jules Koundé because it said Sevilla had reduced their asking price to £50 million. His buyout clause is 68 million. It says we was not willing to meet that earlier on this season, but it says we was prepared to pay around 61 million. And at one point it said we was the favourites to sign him. His performances for Sevilla have been outstanding. He's been at Sevilla almost 2 years. Sevilla paid £22 million for him from Bordeaux in the summer of 2019. He's got a contract with Sevilla until 2024. And still young. He's got a lot of development in him as Jules Koundé. Pau Torres, we've also been in for him as well. Sergio Ramos from Real Madrid's been on our agenda. There's been a lot of narratives coming out regarding Harry Kane from Tottenham. Daniel Levy has made a transfer decision on Harry Kane. He says Tottenham will not sell him to another Premier League club. Harry Kane has refused to commit his future with Tottenham. It said he was delaying his transfer decision until after the Euros. Harry Kane is valued at around £150 million. It's Southern City that want him because we're both in search for number 9s. Harry Kane is regarded as one of the best strikers in the world. He's a prolific goal scorer. His link-up play is good. Kane's won the Golden Boot a couple of times. David Ornstein was talking about him not so long ago, saying that he wants to leave and he is unhappy. He's committed whilst he's at Tottenham, but he wants to win the biggest trophies and he's not experiencing this at Tottenham. He's been at Tottenham around 17 years now as Harry Kane. Long time. He's been in their senior squad since 2009. He's got a contract with Tottenham until 2024. He's had quite a few loan spells as well, with Leyton Orient, Millwall, Norwich and Leicester. So there you go. And yeah, we are going to sell players in the summer transfer window. Like I said, it's very likely Cavani's going to leave. There's a lot of Man United fans that are saying we need to sell Anthony Martial. Anthony Martial has been out of form for the vast majority of this season. The chances have been there for him, but he hasn't converted them. Martial's actually out with injury at the moment. He sustained an injury on international duty. He had a hip injury before that, and he had an injury before that as well. So he's sustained a few injuries now. Could he miss the game against Granada, Martial? Solskjaer did say, though, earlier on this season that he's backed Martial to rediscover his form, and he's been impressed with his work rate. I reckon Martial's had 2 good seasons at Man United. He was good last season, and he was good in his debut season under Louis van Gaal. He's been at the club now over 5 years. If we sell him in the summer transfer window, I reckon we'll get around £30 million. Juan Mata, good chance we'll offload him. His current contract expires in June, but there is an option to trigger his contract for a further year. Juan Mata doesn't get in our team now, and my element of concern, he's lost that yard of pace, and plus he's in his 30s. Earlier on this season, he rejected an $18 million a year contract offer to play in Saudi Arabia, but Mata's been at the club now almost 7 years. We got him in a deal worth £40 million from Chelsea back in 2014. Donny van der Beek, there's a good chance we're going to offload him, and I think we should offload him. The reason is because he's not getting enough opportunities at Manchester United. Most of Donny van der Beek's appearances have come from the bench when he's been involved in games. He's only started 2 games in the league this season. Now, we are considering a Donny van der Beek swap deal. Sport have said that Man United are willing to offer Donny van der Beek to Juventus in exchange for Adrian Rabiot. Mark Hughes was talking about Donny van der Beek not so long ago, and he said he feels lost at Man United and he's edging closer to a Man United exit. But it says not so long ago that Donny van der Beek still feels loved at Man United despite his lack of game time. It said earlier on this season that he wants to quit Man United after 1 season due to his lack of game time, and he wanted to hold showdown talks with Ed Woodward over his future at the club. Earlier on this season, Solskjaer made an admission saying that Donny van der Beek is unhappy due to his lack of game time, but he promised him more game time at Man United. We got him in a deal worth £40 million. We paid £35 million up front and there was £5 million in add-ons. He's got a contract with the club until 2025 and he's versatile. He can play in 3 different roles. ESPN said back in January that we rejected several loan offers for Van der Beek. It looks very likely that Paul Pogba's going to be leaving the club in the summer transfer window. Because Paul Pogba still wants to quit Manchester United and he's rejected a new contract. Damasio come out recently and said that Paul Pogba's got no intentions of extending his contract at Manchester United, and he said his preferred destination is Juventus. I said there's a good chance he'll go back to Juventus because he did enjoy 4 good years with them before he rejoined Manchester United. Juventus won a Paul Pogba swap deal. Now, it recently said they was willing to offers for Paulo Dybala in a swap deal for Paul Pogba. Says they was also willing to offload Adrian Rabiot and Aaron Ramsey to afford Paul Pogba. And Fabrizio Romano has said that Juventus are refusing to give up on re-signing Paul Pogba. He's also been relentlessly linked with a move to Real Madrid and he's been linked with a move to PSG before, so he's had a long-running transfer saga. Paul Pogba's current contract expires in 2022, so we need to offload him this summer so we can cash in for him, because if he stays potentially past the summer, he'll probably leave on a free next year, and we don't want to do that. Solskjaer did say earlier on this season that he's hopeful that Paul Pogba will stay at Man United and sign a new contract. And we had been in contract negotiations with Paul Pogba, and Ollie suggested earlier on this season that Pogba could sign a new contract. We have been getting the best out of Pogba in recent months. Did well against Milan, came on, made an instant impact and scored the goal. He brings creativity to the team. And he's more effective in more of an advanced role, on that left wing. But disregarding Paul Pogba, we lack creativity and we are far too defensive. Don't forget, he was out with a thigh injury for a while. He was out with an ankle injury at the first part of this season. He was out for the vast majority of last season with an ankle injury. Mini Oriola, Paul Pogba's agent. Don't forget, he criticised Sir Alex Ferguson for forcing Paul Pogba out of the club when he was younger. All our fans, I presume, criticised Mini Oriola for criticising Ferguson. Mini Oriola made an announcement back in December regarding Paul Pogba. Solskjaer was furious with Mini Oriola's announcement. He did say, though, earlier on this season that he's got no intentions of destabilising his client's season at Man United, and he made an admission saying that he's working quietly on Paul Pogba's transfer. Mini Oriola doesn't have a good relationship with us, and he's being criticised a lot. So he's been desperate to get his client out of the club, Mini Oriola, for quite some time now. He also came out not so long ago and says he doesn't give a fuck if he doesn't take another player to Man United. As it stands at the moment, Pogba's our most expensive signing. We paid £89 million for him, and this is Paul Pogba's 5th season at the football club since he rejoined. Nemanja Matic, good chance we'll sell him in the summer transfer window because he isn't one of our first choice midfielders, but he still gets his chances. Got strong reservations about him because he's always been a slow player, as Matic. And in most of his games at Man United, he's been inconsistent. But there's been some games where he's been consistent. The club made a mistake giving him that new 3-year contract. We got Matic in a deal worth £40 million. He's been at the club now almost 4 years. Phil Jones, I'm also expecting him to leave. Phil Jones is the only outfield player that's still here from the Sir Alex Ferguson era. This is Jones' 10th season at Man United, so he's been a long-serving player. He's been out of injury for over a year. De Gea, good chance that we'll sell him in the summer transfer window. I reckon now De Gea has had his years at Manchester United, and I think we'll be looking to get rid of Diego Dalot permanently. So there you go. But there's a lot of players that will stay in the summer transfer window, and I think there's a few players that have got long-term futures at Man United as well. I think definitely Dean Henderson will stay. I think he's now reliable enough to become our number one goalkeeper. Luke Shaw will stay. Luke Shaw's been superb this season. He's been player of the season by far. Harry Maguire will stay. I don't know about long term. Eric Bay, I think he'll stay potentially past the summer, but I don't think he's got a long-term future at Man United. My only element of concern about Bay is too injury-prone. Lindelof will probably stay in the summer as well. And Wan-Bissaka will stay. I think he's got a long-term future at the club. Fred, there's been rumours of him possibly leaving, but I think he'll stay potentially past the summer. I don't know if he's got a long-term future though at the club. McTominay, he'll stay in the summer transfer window. Bruno Fernandes, obviously he will. Rashford will stay. Greenwood will stay. Obviously Amad Diallo Traore will stay as well. So there you go. There's a few players that don't even get in R11 now. Williams doesn't get in R11, so could we loan him out? Tellez doesn't get in R11 either. Do you think he could leave in the summer transfer window? Bay's lost his place in the team as well. Tuan Zebe doesn't get in R11. Jones doesn't. Juan Mata doesn't. So these are few. Anyway, Solskjaer will be doing his press conference today ahead of the game against Brighton, and I'll be giving you my reaction for that. So anyway guys, that's everything to update today. Like I say, drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always, and take care. God bless. See you all again very, very soon.